There we go. So I got a couple things popped up, so we're going to do the stream a little bit early. We're going to zoom through the questions and talk about Vikings, talk about draft, talk about life, all that good stuff. First up, Derek Baker. It seems to me that quite often a certain free agent signing opens the floodgates, and we see an avalanche of signings and trades after that. Will the JJ signing be that signing? If not, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't think it will be because only a handful of teams are in the market. And I don't think that he was going to be a market setter for edge rusher anyway. But who would be that guy? Well, Deshaun would be the obvious answer. Maybe it's something as nominal like Jimmy Garoppolo moving. And then the Niners get motivated, or Jimmy gets traded to the Patriots or something like that. Or potentially even Teddy. Because if the Patriots do move Teddy, rumored to be San Francisco, could be in. Or if they just cut him and eat his contract, and then that opens up the demand. So that could kickstart things off. Rohit and Umpati. Do you think DJ Wanham could ever be a starter for the Vikings, or will he always be a rotational piece? I think he'd be a starter this year. Where, barring the Vikings landing Kwity Paye or Aziz or Rousseau, I think that Wanham is going to be that starting defensive end. And even if they bring back Afadi, I think that Wanham is going to be better, going to be ready to go. Where I think that he is a more traditional defensive end. And Afadi found a lot of success in 2019 when he was allowed to play wherever, right defensive end, left defensive end, kick inside. That's why he racked up 7 sacks, because he was that third guy as opposed to being the man, which he was throughout most of the season last year after Yannick was traded. How good a D-line of Wanham, Pierce, Barmore, Daniil? Pretty damn good. Plus, Wanham's rush repertoire, and I think that he can become a high-end starter in this league. Just let him go through the Andre Patterson car wash and then add those skills and then get after. Charlie Mullins, when and if the Vikings sign some new free agents in the next few weeks, would you consider doing a film breakdown on them for us? Yeesh. Ethan Griffith, just now starting my draft work. Who are some of your guys I should be watching tape on? Desmond Ridder, get a jump for next year. It's here. Well, besides the obvious, like Devontae Smith, like Kyle Pitts, Dwayne Eskridge, if you can find some Western Michigan. Josh Palmer from Tennessee has been my guy for a while at this point. Offensive line, Darisaw. I mean, just watch as much Darisaw as possible. Dude is a dude. Landon Dickerson, I love. Trey Smith, I enjoy. Sort of whatever on Quinn Meinerz at this stage. Because he's going to look like a cheat code playing for UW Whitewater, but, you know. So defensively, I love Onwuzurike. I like Barmore. I like Aleem McNeil. Edge rush. Drake Jackson, that's that from Kentucky. I do like it. I think safety-wise, Morig and Ardarius. Like, go look up some 2019 film where you had Ardarius and Morig and El Jefe on the field together. It is really interesting. Next up, Paz Mello. Can you do a video on the love Cameron Dantzler is getting from redrafts and rookie cornerback rankings? I saw him top 15 on one. Woo! CBS Sports 2020 redraft, he went top 10. Wow. I think he's really that outstanding. Well, he was the best rookie cornerback, but the cornerback group as a whole last year, even though there's some very highly drafted ones, was relatively disappointing. But yeah, Cameron Dantzler does have that potential if he can stay healthy and if he can add some good size to be that stud. Length on the outside, just an absolute dude. He's not going to back down from anything. And I would really like it if he would stop riding ATVs in the offseason. But other than that, he's really good. Rohan Upai, would you trade Reef for a third round? Him? If he can't come to accord on a new deal, I'm more inclined to keep him if he would agree to a lower rate. But, yeah, a high third is the lowest that I would settle for. Madden Mobile, Dalvin Jefferson, first-round pick, no. No. Nathaniel Shore, let's say we draft one of the big receivers like Waddle or Smith. Woo! Do you think Thielen or Jefferson might complain about lack of workload? No, because with Clint Kubiak on board, him being a former QB coach and wide receiver coach, I mean, sure, Zimmer can say run the ball all you want, but if you go 3 deep like that at wide receiver, you're going to chuck it around a little bit. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty of work for everyone. Plus, maybe they trade Thielen after next year. Pulford Skull, can you do a new video on where all quarterbacks will go on all 32 teams? Now there's been some more trades. Yeah, we'll toss that in the things to do list. I'm really intrigued with where Alex Smith is going to end up. Just stop calling me. John Anderson TV, if the Eagles reach for Mac Jones, which honestly at this point doesn't seem that far-fetched, should the Vikings make a move for Jalen Hurts? Also, what would give... I would give up, well, don't have a second. I would give up a future second-round pick for him, where I really like Jalen Hurts, but I think if the Eagles bring in a quarterback, it will be in competition with Jalen Hurts. And if Jalen Hurts wins, so be it. Then they can trade whatever quarterback that they draft. If the quarterback they draft wins, they can roll with him and then trade Jalen Hurts. But I don't think they'll do that right away. I think it really will be just a survival of the fittest situation for Philly at this stage. Hold on. Sorry, I just got to cut and paste and blah, blah, blah. Got a lot of things going on. Apologies for being a little bit helter-skelter. Got a lot of stuff. Got a lot of irons in the fire and other cliches about stuff and things. I just want a major trade to go down. Like, can Russell Wilson be traded today? And ideally not to the Bears? And for that, we thank you. Yeah. All right, next up. Let's see what is up next. Jonathan TV. Abza Abdi. Come on. There we go. Abza Abdi. What was the weirdest meal you ate and that was surprisingly delicious and wanted to know the recipe so you can make it in the future? It's a lot of specific things. Didn't ask for a recipe, but probably the first time I ate Ethiopian food where you don't think it would work, especially a lot of the elements, especially like the raw meat, but it was really good. It is really, really good. There's a really good Ethiopian place in St. Paul. I forget the name. But yeah, you really like the communal aspect of it. Yeah, everyone just eating with their hands and stuff. It's really good. Obs Abdi, Kirk Cousins, draft Mon, sign Smith. Alex Smith? What do you think about those quarterback moves? If you're drafting Kellen Mond to be your starter within the next 2 years, nah. Patrick, again, I'm only trading Cousins if you get enough draft capital where you can move into the stratosphere, get a top 4 quarterback, or Deshaun. Or Russell Wilson. Hell, let's get nuts. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple of shout-outs on this really quick off-the-line live stream. Patrick Harms. Sounds like there could be a handful of corners, former Vikings on the market. Patterson, no. Xavier, no. Everson, probably not. Linval, yes. Mack, yes. See anyone else out there? Probably not. Nate H. Someone's quarterback board is the craziest. Is the craziest ever. It the worst. Wilson, Jones, Fields, Lawrence. Well, no. And whoever's board this is, no. Abs Abdi, which rookie pro day are you interested in most right now, if there's any left? Well, so Wyatt Davis probably isn't going to be healthy enough for his pro day. Probably Kwity Paye. I am a little bit concerned that Kwity Paye is going to test like a freak, and then he'll be out of range for the Vikings, but that will push someone else down. I guess Darius, I don't know where Virginia Tech's pro day is. We should look that up. Virginia. Definitely postpones. Well, no, so they haven't set a date. Well, Darrisaw will get a pro day, or whether it's one of those regional combines, or even if it's just his agent running it. And I'm a little concerned that he will test out the roof, and people realize, oh, why are we overlooking this amazingly gifted left tackle who checks all the boxes measurable wise and could be out of the range for the Vikings at 14. That is my concern. Well, let's see who else. I guess Bateman's pro day will be interesting. Like if he's able to rip off a 4.47 somewhere in there, that will put to bed a lot of concern. Where he's an extremely good route runner. I think that his drawback is that straight line speed. I think that might scare off some teams, but. Now, if he clocks in, a 4.45, I mean, he'll be good to go. Joey Pesic. How do you think JJ will do on the Cardinals? Also, him in the D-line is going to be crazy. It's on Reddick. It's 5 sacks, 1 game last year. Yeah, I think him and Chandler Jones are going to be gross. Where, there's been a lot of talk about them opposite of each other, but you have Hassan Reddick, and I think it's more likely that on third down you're going to see JJ at defensive end and then Chandler Jones at outside linebacker, and they'll be on both on the same side. That's gross. I think if he can stay healthy, I think he certainly can bring a spark. And I think he will actually benefit from not having to be the guy, where he's the number one thing that the offenses are focusing on. So since he's going to be the second, third option in Arizona, he'll get a lot more one-on-ones. And I think that's going to extend his career and allow his production to go up. Let's hear a couple shout-outs. Let's hear KC Wall, Rochester, Med City, Soulja Boy G, Skull, Minneapolis. What's going on? Pulford Skull, Nashville, Tennessee. Ira Coffin, Fayetteville. What's up? Saxon 600, Skull from England. Top of the morning. Wait, no, is that Irish? That doesn't matter. Guys, the best factors come along at this odd time. Ira Coffin, will you ever do a positional tier list? No, never. Probably. Chris Danny Hansen. What contributes most to draft prospects being bust? Is it ego, too much hype, immaturity, coaching, teams mismanaging them? All the above. A lot of the time, it can be ego, where especially if they're a high draft pick, and, well, this is what happens. So in college, you're the man. You're a 4 or 5-star recruit. Everyone's been kissing your ass since age 14 and telling you that it's ice cream. And you get drafted high, you get the big money, and then all of a sudden, things don't go your way. You face adversity for the first time in your football career. And sometimes, a lot of the time, if you're at the top of the draft, you're going to a bad team. So that certainly lends into it. And, coaching, I mean, it isn't always one thing. Where, say, Ryan Leaf, 98 Chargers. I mean, the Chargers were a bad organization at that time. Yeah, A.J. Smith was just and ownership questionable. So they certainly didn't help Ryan Leaf, but a lot of it was his own doing. Jamarcus Russell. I mean, the Raiders were a mess at that stage. That's when Lane Kiffin was head coach, and Jamarcus certainly wasn't motivated to be successful in the NFL. Plus, Al Davis, God rest his soul, had lost it by that point. So a lot of it is you generally don't see talented, hardworking players that go to a good organization become busts. I mean, if they do bust, it turns out they just weren't talented enough. But everywhere else, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Brett Vuzelas, would you take Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins backup? Yes, but I don't know if he would sign up to be a backup right now. Miles, who will be the best player on the Vikings in the next 5 years? Daniil. Well, Jefferson. It's close. It really, for the next 5 years. So Jefferson will be, 27? Oh, that's how young and amazing he is. Actually, is he 22 yet? Doesn't matter. Daniil will be 30, 31. I'll say Jefferson, but it's really close with Daniil. Michael Merchant Robbles. Can you do a Cardinals full offseason free agencies have around mock draft? Yes. Skull Zone. How big of a need is linebacker for the Vikings in free agency draft? If they let Wilson go, marginal. If they let Barr go on top of Wilson, big. Because I like Troy Dye. I'm not ready to hand him the starting job yet. But then if you hit free agency, I would certainly bring Todd Davis back. There isn't really any linebackers that I'm ready to be like, got to get that guy. And then in the draft, that would push up the need for Micah Parsons or Zaven Collins or Nick Bolton or Jabril Cox. I don't consider Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah a linebacker per se. I think that he's a hybrid specialist. It's like a slot corner or a move tight end. Like, he's not a safety. He's not a linebacker. He's his own position, and he's a damn good football player too. Stanley Morris. Kwity Paye or Slater at 14? I would take Paye. Yeah. Waddle or Smith? I would take Devontae. No Barr or Wilson resigned, so 14. Parsons or Darisaw? I would still take Darisaw. Even though offensive line, you feel pretty good in the later rounds. Just getting a guy like Darisaw, put him in at left tackle for the next decade. And Parsons is a special player, but you can maneuver in day 2 and get some decent linebacker depth. Because the Kentucky guy, whose name always escapes me. Or trade 2/3 and a fourth and get back up and get Zaven. There you go. Jem Roberts. Which Vikings immediate position needs would you prioritize through free agency rather than the draft for 2021? Guard would be an easy one because I don't see the Vikings taking a guard to 14. AVT seems a little bit high. Slater, I would rather see a tackle than guard. So you can check that box in free agency a lot easier. Look at guys like Austin Blythe or John Feliciano or Jermaine Elemanor or Jumpin' Joe Thuney or Brandon Scherf. Those are pie in the sky dreams. But there's a lot of value guards that would be massive upgrades over Dakota Dozier, and you'd feel kind of okay if they start week 1, where you can't really say that about guards. Where I do like the guards in day 2, Dickerson. Creed Humphrey, if you want to play him at guard, I'd rather keep him at center. Or Trey Smith from Tennessee, or Quinn Mainers, or Ben Cleveland, or David Moore. But you'd prefer them not starting week 1. If you know what I mean? Whereas defensive tackle, you get a guy like Shelby Harris, sure. Or you could just get a guy like Barmore at 14. Go ahead. The what in WTF? I think it also matters that defensive line, you can have guys play niche roles and rotate. Offensive line, you don't do that. The what in WTF? Our second, third, or reef to the Cards for Andy Isabella and a late pick. Our second? No, Andy Isabella is not worth that much. No. Pulford Skull. I would offer a 5th-round pick for Isabella, and maybe the Cardinals will go for it. Pulford Skull. Would you trade Rudy or Barr or both for N'Keal Harry? No. I wasn't a big Harry fan in that draft. I think that he's limited in speed. He has size, but nah. I'm sort of done with big, slow receivers. Ezekiel Lockhart. Number 3, who is more exciting, rookie Kirill Kasparov or Justin Jefferson? I'm going to go Jefferson by default because I haven't been paying attention to hockey. I don't really care. Or what about Anthony Edwards? I haven't been really paying attention to basketball either. It's time to poop or go off toilet, Kirk Cousins. I think they're going to stay on the toilet. Pun intended. Bills, Kits. Kirk to Washington for Chase Young and Heineke. I don't think Kirk would ever go back to Washington, although he doesn't have a no-trade clause anymore. That would be hilarious, though. Time is a flat circle. Rowit and Apati, would you rather select Darisaw or Slater at 14? Darisaw, or trade Thielen and a late-round pick for Orlando Brown and take Waddle and Devonta at 14 available? I don't know if they would trade Orlando for just straight up for a receiver. I think that they would demand 14 be involved, so that's where it sticks. But if they would do that deal, Harvey Melber. If Watson isn't traded and all the teams who were interested draft or sign a quarterback via draft, is it possible the Vikings go after in 2022? Yes. And plus, he may hold out for a full year. So his contract would toll. So he'd be on the cheap for 2022. But then they need someone to take on Kirk's contract. So that complicates things. CG53, do you think Mike Hughes will start this year? If not, no. I don't think he starts. I think they hang on to him. They don't pick up his 5th-year option. I think they try him as a return specialist, which I think would be really smart. David Ruiz, is there a chance that the Vikings don't make the playoffs next year? No. 0. None. Chris Danny Hansen, best 90s TV show. I might have to go with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's such a good show, man. That was great. Michael Lewis. Plus, I loved how in on the joke they were. Like when they replaced the mom and they didn't say anything about it. Jazz walks in the house. Who's playing the mother this year? It's great. Michael Lewis. Realistic trade value for Smith, Reef, Barr, and Rudy. Personally, I see 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th. I think you could get a late first for Harrison. Reef a 2nd. Barr, given his contract, probably 4th. And Rudy, I don't think there's any trade value. Like maybe you get a conditional 7th, but you probably have to take on some of his contract. Miles, how many changes will the offense and defense make this year to better themselves? 6. MIT03, JJ went to Arizona to play tight end. That'd be kind of funny. The Cardinals have never had a good tight end. Like name the last really good Cardinals tight end. You can't. It's kind of funny. But that's it. Again, apologies for starting early as well as running a little bit short. But we got some stuff to do today. Thanks very much for coming